I'm Joshua Bardwell, and you're going to learn something today. Today we are talking about charging tiny whoop batteries. And charging tiny whoop batteries is pretty important because flying tiny whoops is so fun. And unlike big quadcopters where the batteries take a freaking long time to charge, tiny whoop batteries, you don't get a lot of flight time out of them, but also they charge up pretty quickly. Which means that with just like a handful of batteries, you can kind of just fly all day and never stop. Fly a pack, land, plug it in, grab another one, fly it, land, plug it in, and just keep going until you get bored. But which is the best tiny whoop charger for you to have? Well, I've got 3 new ones here. We're going to take a look at them, and we're going to see which. We're going to start this video by looking at this charger, which this is labeled Happy Model, but it's actually manufactured by URUAV, the same people who make this one, which we'll look at in a second. And I want to just look at this one because it's sort of what a lot of people expect out of a tiny whoop battery charger. And it's not bad in terms of its functionality. It's got 6 ports for the batteries themselves to plug in. They're each is an individual charger, and that's common for tiny whoop chargers. They're not in parallel like larger batteries, so you don't have to worry about plugging multiple batteries in at different voltages. Just plug them in, whatever voltage they're at, it'll charge them up. It's got a switch for high volt versus standard LiPo, and it's got a switch for the charge rate. You can charge at 100 milliamps, which is better. Say it's better for the batteries, or you can charge at 600 milliamps, and if you've got one of these larger packs, the 600 milliamp charge rate might be okay. Generally, a charge rate of up to about 2C is okay for most batteries. 1C is best for long battery life. So 450 milliamp hours, that would be 450 milliamps is a 1C charge rate. 600 milliamps would be fine. For these smaller batteries that you see, like this is a 300 milliamp hour, charging it, well, that would still be 2C, so that's not too bad. Okay, but 100 milliamp hour charge or 100 milliamp charge rate is going to be a little bit better for long battery life. Just going to take a little bit longer to charge. So this is fine, and there's nothing wrong with it. But sometimes you want a little bit more, or maybe a little bit less. This is the URUAV 6-in-1 Pro charger, and it costs about $15. So if you're looking at all this fancy schmancy nonsense and thinking, well, surely that's more expensive than this bare bones piece of whatever. No, actually, this one costs about $15 too. And it's not actually a given that you're going to want this Pro one more. Now, the Pro one has more features. So, for example, if I hold down this button here, I can actually set for each of the charging ports. And there are 5 charging ports, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 on the back. I can set for each of the charging ports the voltage and the charge rate. So, for example, I could say the port number 1 is going to be high volt, and it's going to get charged at 600 milliamps. Port number 2 is going to be standard LiPo, and it's going to be charged at 200 milliamps. You can just decide how you want that. Now that's cute, but how many of us are actually going to use that? I charge all my tiny whoop batteries to high volt. I charge even the ones that are only supposed to be standard volt, I charge them to high volt, because if you don't, that just sags so much, especially if you're using higher kV motors. You just want high volts for tiny whoops, period, in my opinion. So I'm going to basically just go and set this all to high volt, and I'm probably, at any given time, I'm probably going to be having the same size of battery roughly. If I'm flying a Acroby, I'm probably going to be having about 250 milliamp hour batteries, so I'm probably going to have about the same charge rate for all of them. And this is one of the really nice things about this charger, which is that you can see on screen the exact voltage that it's at. You can see how close the battery is to getting charged and what its exact status is, and that's pretty freaking cool. Next, let's look at this guy, the Newbeedrone Nectar Injector, and this is a much simpler and more straightforward charger. However, I don't think that necessarily makes it worse. Look at how big this freaking thing is. Part of the appeal of tiny whoops is that they're small, they're portable, and they're simple. And the ability to just take this guy, plug in, and boom, away you go. No screen, no nonsense. Who needs that stuff? That certainly has some appeal. The Nectar Injector has a switch here to decide for high volt or regular charging. Each of these 2 ports are selected together, so these 2 will either be high volt or regular. These 2 will be either high volt or regular. And it is powered off of USB. The Nectar Injector has one unique feature that makes it stand out. It has the ability to sort of resurrect batteries that have died. If they've lost charge or been over discharged to the point where a normal charger won't charge them, you can plug them into the Nectar Injector and it will trickle charge them back to life. I hesitate to recommend this practice. On bigger batteries, I don't recommend resurrecting them because there's a risk of dangerous fires. But on these little tiny batteries, even if they do pop off, it's usually not too dramatic. But the real reason I don't really resurrect them is that they tend to perform like crap afterwards. So yeah, they still hold a charge, kind of. But hey, if you've ever over discharged one and you want to try, you got nothing to lose. Plug it into the Nectar Injector and it'll bring it back to life. Lastly, we've got this, the ISDT UC4, and it has ISDT's typical, just great industrial design, just really nice metal case, sort of kind of reminds me of like an Apple product. Ugh, some Apple person out there is crying right now because I said that. Now this guy is charged from, holy cow, are you kidding me? Yes, sir, it is charged from USB-C, which obviously makes it better. No. So USB-C is nice, and it certainly is futuristic. You don't have to worry about which way to plug it in. But what really makes this useful is that it's actually powered from quick charge. It's quick charge capable, which means it can draw more power and charge batteries faster than like something like the Nectar, which uses standard 5-volt 2-amp USB. Now, where am I going to get a quick charge charging? Well, you could obviously your cell phone charger may be quick charge capable, but you can also use this, which is the ISDT UC1, which is a XT60 to quick charge adapter. Also very handy for just charging your phone or whatever. So we'll plug the UC1 into an XT60, and here we go. The LED gives us the status. When the LED goes solid, it tells us that we are using quick charge as opposed to just a standard 5-volt 2-amp USB. If it stays flashing, the batteries aren't going to charge as quickly. And we can just plug these batteries in. It can charge at 500 milliamps, 1 amp, or 1.5 amps, and that is configurable using this button. And the little status LED here tells us the charging status of the battery, whether it's empty, middle charge, or full charged, and how fast it's charging, I think. That brings us then to the final question at the end of every review: which one should you buy? And the answer is going to depend heavily on who you are as a pilot and your priorities. Because, like, there's no doubt that the ISDT is the nicest looking. It's just so nice to hold this, like, firm, solid piece of metal in your hand. It's super cool. But this is $15. And if you don't already have a quick charge adapter, then you might end up needing this UC1 thing, which is also $15, and you're going to be in for about $30. But you'll have the coolest metal pieces of kit at the field, so that's your call. The Nectar Injector at a price of $15, it's awfully hard to compare it to these guys at the same price. It only charges 4 batteries at a time. This guy does 5, and this guy does 6. And it doesn't have some of the adjustable stuff like you've got on these guys. So it does have the ability to resurrect the batteries. It's the smallest of them, and that certainly is nice if you're looking for a small charger, kind of like the ISDT, but you don't want to commit yourself to this. I think this one is a little bit of the weakest showing here, though. I think that many people would choose a different one, especially if this was like $8 or maybe $10. I think it'd be more compelling. If it was $5, it'd be a steal. But at a price of $15, I think you're going to probably find yourself drawn to something else. Between these guys, I really like this one for its simplicity. There's no menus. There's no nonsense, having to click button, hold long press, short press, set them. Just plug your freaking battery in, flip the freaking switch, and go. And that appeals to me. That's the way I like to charge these batteries. However, the URUAV 6-in-1 Pro charger, well, if you are one of the people who's converting a lot of your tiny whoops over to JSTs because the MCPX connector has too much voltage drop, this is going to appeal to you. It's got connectors for all of the common ones, and the ability to have all those different profiles. If you have a bunch of different batteries you're using, you may find just don't plug the wrong battery into the wrong place. Yeah, you'll be in trouble. And that's going to bring us to the end of this video. But before you go, let me remind you, this is my full-time job. And if you enjoy my videos, if they educate you or help you spend your money smarter, one of the ways you can help support me is to use the affiliate links down in the video description. There's links to all of these products. If you're going to buy one, click that link. And then before you buy any product, you do not have to just buy the linked product when you use those affiliate links. Click those affiliate links and I get a small commission when you make any purchase from the affiliated vendor. I also have a Patreon where you can just directly support me for a few bucks a month if that's the kind of thing you're into. I sure do appreciate it. Either way, thanks to you guys. Either way, thank you guys so much for watching and happy flying.